And I had been like stalking and calling. And I spent one day outside the building giving my resume, being like, I'm sorry, do you work at CAA? Could you bring this up?
Dude, the hustle.
Which
the
eventually came back full circle when I met with the hiring manager. She was like, oh, that was you? She wasn't thrilled.
Wasn't happy about it.
Stoked.
So a lunatic outside.
He calls me and he's like, okay, I get it. You want to be an agent? And I was like, I really do. I really do. And he's like, okay, I'm going to send your resume. And he basically was trying to convince me not to be an agent. And,
wow.
Yeah. And I was like, no, I really do want to, like, this is what I came here to do and I want to do this and whatever. And he's like, okay, I'm going to send your resume. And then I heard from the head of HR and I had my first interview that turned into 10 interviews. And I was interviewing for a position called music floater. Literally, you float around. That's the job. You would collect.
What do you mean?
Your job is to float around the department and help where you can help.
Yeah, checking on everybody.
And
what's going on with you?
Truthfully, the only way I can equate it for is like that was me getting a record deal. Like that was like,
that
this
is awesome.
Oh, if I can get in here, I'm going to get everything.
You just needed your foot in the door.
I just need to get in the building.
Yeah.
And it was 10 interviews, 2 months, and I had been offered, at this point, I was offered a full-time job at the building I was working at called Chelsea Market, and they were paying like adult money. And I was like, oh, I could have one job. This is a nice backup to have, but I was like, all I want is the CAA job.
Wow, determination.
And I kept going. In the last interview lasted 2.5, 3 minutes. They asked two questions each, and I left and I was like, okay, Tommy, you tried.
No.
I was like,
no way.
After that last, I was like, there is no way that I'm getting hired, not based on that interview. And I'd done so many other ones, but it was you're as fresh as the last interview that you have. So I leave and I'm like, I'm at peace. I actually legitimately was at peace with it. And I went to the gym that night and I get a call that I missed. And like every call, when you're in the middle of trying to get a job, anytime you get a phone call that's an unknown phone number and it's like in the city and you're like, that's my job offer. I missed my job offer. They're going to give it to the next person on the list. And I'm like freaking out. So I missed the phone call and I knew the number because I know the CAA number. And I was like, she's calling to let me down. And she leaves a voicemail. Her name's Kathy Cervenka. And she leaves a voicemail. I still have the voicemail.
You do?
Yes. And she left me the voicemail offering me the job. I literally, again, I can like close my eyes. I know exactly where it was. A Crunch Gym in Union Square, New York. And I just done like my trial membership at $40 a month. And I was like, I'm going to live my best life on the treadmill, stop in my tracks, and I have to go outside. And I call her back right away. And she's like giving me the offer, which is, it's like $10 an hour. I think it was $30,000 for the year. And I literally was like, don't care. When can I start?
Wow.
And I was like, this is going to be it.
This is it.
You
this
were
is
a
where
floater.
dreams start.
Yeah. So I floated for 9 months. And then I got my first, so I had like a long-term assignment with somebody and they didn't hire me at the end of the long-term assignment. So I was with this guy for 4 months and I interviewed for the position. And then one day HR sent me a message saying, hey, you're going to be training the new assistant starting on Wednesday. And I responded,
no.
So does this mean I didn't get the job?
Damn.
But all those things are like, it's in the moment, it sucks. But also you can look back with some perspective. And it is very much like you really just weren't meant to have that.
No, yeah.
That was not the moment for that. That wasn't the right match for that. Whatever. And then you get some people that want to give you a shot. And like you get people that believe in you and want to try. So I worked for another guy at CA named Mark Cheatham, who I love. I worked with him for 2 years. And then I worked for a guy named Bobby Corey for a year.
When were you in the mailroom?
That you do that when you get promoted.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So then that's when I met Jeffrey. And so Jeffrey came to the company. Jeffrey
Azoff.
Yeah, and he runs Full Stop, which is where we manage Megan now and the whole other company. But that's where I met Jeffrey.
But wait, while you were floating, you met him?
No, when I was an assistant.
In the mailroom.
Yeah. Nope, before that, when I was an assistant. Yeah. And he was like, we just became friends. And the amount of times I almost left.
In New York?
Yeah, he would visit. The amount of times I almost left CA was so many times.
Really?
Yeah, because at one point I'd been there for 4.5 years, and a lot of people had been promoted around me. And I was like, I had a meeting with the head of HR in LA, and her response to me when I talked about getting promoted was, if you expect to get promoted in the next 2.5 years, you should probably go. And I was like, got it. I'm out the door.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So then moved to another desk, starting to work for Bobby, became friends with Jeffrey. And everyone was like, no, like you should try. And it's like the tides turned to me fighting for myself, but through like working really hard to prove to people how hard I can work and that I can do good work, it turned into them fighting for me.
It's literally high school.
It is. It's literally high school. So then I got that you go to a trainee program, and which means you go back into the mailroom and you deliver mail.
Yeah, it's
and
right
you
back
stack
in it.
chairs and you set up fruit bowls and you set up pens.
How
and all
old are
these
you
things.
at this point?
That's a good question. 26.
Jesus Christ.
What's crazy is that 26. Now I'm 34. 26. In that moment, I was like, I'm so behind. I'm so behind. Like everyone else is lapping me. I'm so behind. But there were two. I mean, one very common piece of advice that everybody gets, I think, is like, don't look right, don't look left, don't compare
Yeah.
yourself, because everyone's path is different.
Exactly.
Because what ended up being a really long road for me to get promoted to become a trainee ended up being a really short road on the other side of it, where I got promoted to agent in 4 months.
Yes.
So it's like it all happens for a reason. And the other really great piece of advice, that is another one that I give to everyone that asks, like when people want to meet with me about like, oh, I want to, go into the business or whatever, is whatever job you have in the moment, make it seem like it's your dream job. Treat that job like it is your dream job. Because if you treat the job like that, people will see that effort and they will see who you are in that role. And that will go so much further than constantly saying, promote me, promote me, promote me, promote me.
Right.
And and that's now how, like when I'm looking at promoting people, I'm not, if they tell me I want to get promoted, I'm like, that's great. Everybody wants to get promoted. I want to see your work. And if your work is worthy of being promoted in your current role, that's when you get to move up. And it's just, like, it's very hard, I will say, because we all want to move up and we all want to grow and we all want to go places in life, whatever that is for any individual. But to embrace your current moment and whatever role you're in and absolutely kill at that job, that's how you'll move forward, not complaining. Other people may move up ahead of you quicker, they will fizzle out.
Yeah.
If they're not working at that same level, they will fizzle out. It's a guarantee.
It's the best advice of all time. I think people always want to skip steps, and
They do.
Especially nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is so old, man, but you end up hurting yourself if you skip the step.
Yeah.
You do, because you're not ready
You're
for the
not
job.
learning, yeah.
If I had been promoted 3 years earlier, I would have not been successful. I would have not been successful. So in that same vein, that's literally how we all got to know each other. Like if I was an assistant in New York when it was on Pop Sugar or Pop Crush, the blog, when I saw All About the Bass the first time, the video.
Was it on Idolator?
No, it was Pop Sugar or Pop Crush, which was
Wow.
like a whatever blog.
Yeah.
And immediately I was like, oh my God. It was
Were you
the
in
second,
the mailroom?
Nope, I was an assistant in New York.
Okay.
And I was in conversations to be promoted.
Oh.
And I was like, I had that feeling I had when I heard Katy Perry, I Kissed a Girl the first time.
Really?
And I was like, this is going to be gigantic.
Oh my God.
She's amazing. This is amazing. And with quick Googles, you can, like, I was like, oh, she also writes her music. I was like, this is unbelievable. Immediately craft an email to Jeffrey, who's like much more important and a really big deal in LA. And I'm like, he's going to pay attention to this because we've built a friendship. I've never asked him for something like professionally like this. And this is a moment that I really think that we can connect on.
Wow.
So I email him and
So you weren't best friends at that time?
no, we were just friendly. And I send him an email and I'm like, this girl's amazing. This song's unbelievable. She's a songwriter. She signed with Epic Records. We need to find her. And he calls me in 2 seconds. He's like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. Let's call Epic. So, and again, this is why I was like, Jeffrey's the one to make this call, because it wasn't like he's going to go run with it on his own. He is going to take little assistant me and we're going to do it together.
Hell yeah.
So then talk about timing and talk about like a moment. I'd spent 6 years getting to this moment and I'm getting promoted. And then my promotion story and my going to the mailroom and arriving to LA is literally with your meteoric rise as a pop star, where bass is hitting #1 as I'm arriving to LA and I'm connected to you and the song and we had signed you and it was this whole thing. And I was like, this is crazy. That is, again, another, I didn't mean to have common
my
themes,
God.
but that's another one of those. That's like Kanye in the arena moment. That's me when I'm arriving to New York
Yeah.
moment where it's like, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm aligned with
So wait,
exactly where
I'm
I'm supposed to
kind
be.
So
of the
crazy.
reason that you and Jeffrey are soulmates, best friends.
Oh, completely. And you're also definitely the reason that I got promoted in 4 months.
Oh, woo!
I also remember the day that I'm sure everybody does, but when you got your first Grammy nominations, I was working in the mailroom. So I was up and on my way to the office at 4 a.m. and the Grammy nominations come out and
Jesus.
Bass got nominated for record and song. And I'm freaking out in the car and I called Jeffrey like 5 times. Jeffrey at this point has like been around the block more than I have. So a Grammy nomination was exciting, but it
another fucking day
wasn't
for him.
as exciting as it was
Yeah.
for me. And he
That was
answered,
your Grammy moment.
To his credit, he answered. It's like 4:15 because he thought something was wrong.
Yep.
I just started screaming, and I was like, "She got nominated! She got nominated! She got nominated!" And then that day, I felt like I had gotten nominated. The entire CAA building, which is like this giant building with thousands of people hustling and bustling around, everyone is congratulating me on your nomination. And I was like,
That's
"Oh."
so cool.
It was
Yeah.
crazy. It was crazy.
I wish you were in that meeting I had with CAA.
I know it's
Because like Jeffrey held his own and he did great, and I like was like, you're adorable. Jeffrey was so nice and smiley, and he was like, I'm your biggest fan. Like, I will do anything for you. And I was like, I just want you part of my life forever.
Yeah.
But if you two there were together, I'd be like, there's no
always a package,
there's no
yeah.
conversation.
We retell the story that I was there.
Really? Good. In my head, you were.
Yeah.
He's like, Tommy, remember that time that we...
Dude, I was with my
I was
dad.
like, yeah, for sure.
We flew my dad out and we were staying in a hotel together in the same room.
Same room.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's really funny.
Couldn't afford anything else.
That's really funny.
And we put the robes on and we ordered steak and we're like, we're so rich and fancy now.
That's amazing.
And I had clip-ins that my dad and I didn't know how to put on, and we shoved them all over my head, and I wore a backwards hat to that meeting.
Yep. And, you were
Jeffrey's like,
you were
who's
in
your
all
favorite?
black.
Yep. Jeffrey's like, who's your favorite artist? And I was like, T-Pain.
That's Jeffrey's favorite story. He retells that story all the time.
I was like,
He's like, when I met Megan,
T-Pain.
she told me her favorite artist was T-Pain. And he was like, I knew I had to work with her forever.
I
It was
love
that
T-Pain.
moment. Dude, T-Pain's the best.
He's the greatest.
He is.
I'm trying to do a song with him every day.
Yep.
Okay, and then
Anyway,
one
so-
day I'm recording If I Was You, I Wanna Be in It Too. And you come to the treehouse where I was recording,
So
and you sat me down and broke my soul.
that meeting happened in that summer. And then I was promoted to agent the following April. And that...
And you and Jeffrey were my agents for a minute.
Yep. And that following winter, which would have been like November, December-ish or something like that. Or maybe it was January, February. I don't know what it was. Jeffrey's like, so we're starting a management company and you're coming with me. and I was like, my first thought was like, well, what about Megan?
Really? Was it really?
I swear to God. It literally,
Bro.
Jeffrey will attest to that. He was like, well, we're going to have to tell her. We can still be in her life, but like in a different way.
You know what's crazy is that Lizzo was there that day.
Oh my God, she was.
She was in the studio that day.
Oh, that is crazy.
Crazy full circle.
That is crazy.
And they came over and they broke up with me.
Yeah, basically
And
over ramen.
while I'm cutting, I'm like, this is the biggest song. It's the best song. Check it out. They're like, we'd love to talk to you. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And
we
they
had to
left
sit-
and I said, you're my only favorite people I have on my team.
Yes. And we left, and when we were in Silver Lake driving back to Beverly Hills, which is about a 40-minute drive, silence.
Really?
He was like, are you okay?
Because I cried in front of him.
Yeah.
I was like, just know that you're
You were
hurting me.
silent.
I had
Because
no
they
words.
said,
Frozen.
because you also said, I'm going to manage Harry. We're going to manage Harry
Yeah.
Styles and like not be your agents. And I
Yeah.
was like, and you're not going to take me with you. But you like not in a
Yeah.
up to front. But I was
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
it was literally horrific.
Horrific.
It was horrific because it was like a breakup.
Yeah.
So we leave, and we truly silent. And
Really?
when we
That makes me happy.
When we finally got home,
Fuck you
Jeffrey's
guys.
like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "No,
No.
I'm not." And like with the day that we left, then leaving CAA was also so hard for me because I loved
Oh,
CAA.
yeah.
I loved
Yeah.
CAA. Like
You worked your
I
whole
had
life
And you
Such-
worked
I worked
so hard
yeah.
to
I
get
worked
into that building.
6 years to be an agent for 9 months.
Yeah.
Jesus
Yeah,
I forgot. It was literally like
forgot.
less
Yeah.
than a year.
Less than a year.
Oh my God.
I only made it to one retreat, the one I got promoted at, and then I was gone.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh, this is a joke. But I also was like, this is the right thing. I knew it was the right thing. So it goes in the category of like, sometimes the really hard shit is the right thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's going to be great.
And do shit that scares you.
Yes. And like, again, the world of failure, I was like, if this fails, I'm fine. Like, I can go get something else. Like, it's all okay.
Yeah, you're already out
so
there.
I'm going to try it, and we're going to go and whatever. But the last day I left CA, every single person in the music department wrote me a handwritten note, and they gave me a box of handwritten notes, and I sat in the valet outside just
Bawling.
bawling.
Yeah.
Absolutely bawling.